Dive right in. I put my book away and nestled into my seat, pulling my bright blue blanket over my shoulders and resting my head on the pillow propped against the window. I wriggled until it felt comfortable as possible in the tight space. I put my earphones in and selected shuffle. I couldn't believe I was here, on my way. It was such a hard-won freedom. When my friends Josh, Shane, and Sarah were held hostage in Iran, Josh's brother Alex and I dreamed of freedom. Much like Sarah described their experience of imprisonment when they could only be free in their dreams. Somehow Zanzibar embodied that freedom for Alex and I. His smile emerged like a sunrise over the horizon when we dreamed of going to Zanzibar when we were free. For me, Zanzibar was also going home to East Africa, where I, my brothers, parents, and grandparents were born, or grandmothers were born, and to where I was during my last email communication with Josh before he was captured. Hey, Josh, so nice to hear from you. I can't believe you're in Italy. I am loving Dar. I'm staying steps away from where my mom grew up, and somehow that makes me feel like I belong here. I have seen her schools, been to her mosque, seen where my grandfather was buried. Amazing to have so many connections to a place I've never been. About France, I'd been thinking of Friday, May 22nd to Sunday, May 24th. Will you still be in the vicinity then? Or do you feel like meeting up in England? Let me know. I'm heading to Zanzibar in minutes. I can't wait. I hope you're doing well. XOX, Farah. That trip and my communication with him about it felt like a dream while Josh was held hostage for 2 years and 2 months. And the freedom to travel anywhere for myself was elusive. We were in constant crisis mode, campaigning intensively for his freedom. And freedom continues to be elusive while in recovery mode, trying to rebuild myself and my life. So I couldn't believe I was there, on a plane, going to Zanzibar, full circle. I couldn't even imagine the possibility until Jane at Youth Challenge International approached me last year and said, "We have a project in Zanzibar and we really need you." I thought I was imagining things. Pardon? What did you say? "We have a project in Zanzibar and we really need you. It's very short notice. You'd have to leave in 2 weeks. Is that possible for you?" My many commitments flashed before me like a high-speed movie reel, but I paused them. It's Zanzibar. I'll make it possible. It was Zanzibar, and it was synchronicity. An opportunity to realize my freedom dream mere days after being in New York City for the launch of Josh, Shane, and Sarah's book. I had to go. I couldn't wait to arrive to the warmth of the air and of the people. I wondered what my colleagues would be like, what my homestay family would be like, how quickly my Swahili would return. All of a sudden, my phone went quiet. As I was about to check the battery, I heard my grandfather's voice speaking to me. I was startled. He was not only not on the flight, but he had died more than 20 years ago. Then I remembered my uncle had given me a recording of another uncle interviewing my grandfather about his life. It must have somehow migrated to my phone from my computer via iCloud. If only migrating countries was so easy. I hadn't listened to very much of my grandfather's interview because it made me emotional. Hearing him sound like he was right in front of me made me miss him more than I already did. Listening to him while flying to Tanzania, I imagined him and our history waiting at the airport to meet me when I arrived. I listened closely as he recounted his migration from India to Tanzania when he was 8 years old. He wanted to follow his father there and was ready to do so on his own. His mother said, "You're 8. You can't go on your own." I laughed, admiring his audacity. Though my current journey felt like a marathon, journeys were much more epic then when commercial airlines didn't exist. Despite that, he didn't give up. He kept begging to go until my great-grandmother relented and let him go with his older brother. I listened to him tell the story of arriving in Tanzania and being ferried from one relative's home to another, working at odd jobs. And then, when he was 12, he insisted on going to Zanzibar to help his father with his store there. I was shocked. I had never known that my great-grandfather had a store there, nor that my grandfather had worked with him there. I had so many questions I wanted to ask. My uncle asked, "How did you go to Zanzibar on your own from mainland Tanzania when you were 12? I went to the train station and bought a ticket and got on the train. Then I went to the ferry terminal, bought a ticket, and got on the ferry." I imagined my grandfather rolling his eyes as he said this, though I had never seen him do that. His eyes were always smiling when he was with me or any of his grandchildren. He taught us to play cards. He called solitaire patience. For the longest time, I thought it was passions. That made it my favorite game. He told us stories that riveted us, of how lions used to come right up to his porch, of how he fought off a snake, of how he taught himself English. And he saw the bravery in us. I was 4 when we left Nairobi and my beloved nursery school, where I looked out the window at the end of each day, hoping to see his red hatchback pull up. He wrote me letters in Toronto from London, England, where he moved around the same time we left Nairobi. Letters addressed only to me. When I was 4, I felt compelled to reply. "Dear Bapa, it's very cold today. I love school. I miss you." That's what I remember from my letters. As a teenager, I visited him on my own a few times. On one of those visits, he handed me a box. I opened it to find every single letter I had ever written him, from the age of 4 to date, even the ones that just said, "It is very cold today. I love school. I miss you." I wish I had asked more about his life in Tanzania in those letters. I was more focused on sharing our London and Toronto lives, and I never imagined losing him. I thought I had endless time to learn about him and our family history. In Zanzibar, I carried that history with me. When I was first introduced to Maulid, my colleague at the Zanzibar Youth Forum, I told him I'd discovered my great-grandfather had a store there. I wasn't sure how that affected his perception of me, but I really wanted him to know that living and working there was profoundly meaningful to me. After our first meeting, we left the ZYF office to make our way to the Youth Challenge International office. In my Western dress, I was a beacon for taxi drivers. They called out to me beseechingly, "Taxi? Taxi?" I started to say asante, putting my hand up and shaking my head, my Zanzibar version of no thank you. When Maulid piped up, exasperated, "She's not a tourist. She's from here. She doesn't need a taxi." I beamed. Weeks later, in the middle of a meeting, Maulid put my feelings into words. "You're from here. You've just been missing."